Go to Miami, with a white Miami man who brandished a gun at a teen during the Black Lives Matter protest is asserting the stand your ground laws justify his actions. Mark Bartlett faces 5 charges of carrying a concealed weapon, 3 counts of aggravated assault with prejudice, and improper exhibition of a firearm for the 2019 incident. The protesters flooded the streets, and Bartlett got out of his car with his gun to confront the teens. Watch this.
Don't touch me, bro. Hey, you just touch me, you bunch of thugs. Fuck you, bitch.
Fucking white ass.
Get the whoa.
Get the who did?
That guy in the red. Yeah, right behind this guy. You
Get
ran
the fuck
over
out of
my
here, fucking piece of shit. You fucking losers.
You ran over my foot.
Fucking stupid niggas.
You guys keep moving.
Fucking dumbass fucking niggas.
And this guy right
Y'all
here.
gonna be on the news. Y'all gonna make the news.
That's fine.
All right.
Hey, fucking idiots. Y'all stupid niggas. Listen, you stupid niggers. Put that gun to my head, stupid bitch.
Well, of course, you saw that where Bartlett was yelling racial slurs. Bartlett's attorney says that his use of force is justified. Kelly, you jumped your ass out your car with your gun, yell racial slurs to confront me because of blocking the street, and that's justified? Is he law enforcement or is he George Zimmerman?
I mean, it sounds about white to me. You know, none of that was justified. Absolutely none of that was justified. The fact that he felt, you know, emboldened enough to get out of his car and act like he owned whatever ground that young man was standing on to tell him what to do. I mean, it's the caucasity for me, but it's also expected from racists who don't know their place in society, which is to basically mind your own business and keep it pushing. This was a peaceful protest. They were completely within the right to protest that day. What he did not have the right to do is what he did, which is why he's on trial right now. But this is by no means a stand your ground law. There was no castle around him that he owned. There was nothing around him that he needed to defend. He was the aggressor, and he should be treated as such under the law.
BRIANA.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I mean, honestly, it's like I said, it's Florida. And so this problem happens over and over in Florida. I'm very familiar with Brickell. I actually was in the area during that time, and I don't know how he would get passed in this case, especially because of, you know, the racial epithets he was, you know, spewing. But the issue, though, is the so-called stand your ground law in Florida. We've seen time and time again vigilantes being the judge, jury, and executioner. And so, like, you know, there's been from Trayvon Martin, from Marquise McLaughlin, there's been so many issues, and they've gone away with stand your ground. And, you know, stand your ground has no place in a civilized society. And, you know, as Kelly said, that he wasn't protecting his castle, even though in Florida that's not a criteria you need to defend your stand ground. But it allows anyone to feel who feels afraid, which he shouldn't have felt afraid. They got out the car to murder and label it self-defense, to roll over someone's foot because they were in the way and she had to go pick up the kids from soccer. And it was just, you know, it bothered her and frustrated her because it took away her time. But, I mean, the reason they were protesting is because the injustices on their lives. And and that was such an inconvenience for her to even have to think about as a white person what we're going through as Black people. And so it's the stand your ground law disproportionately is used against people of color. And we really have to change it. And it's that hopefully, you know, they take this case and do the right thing. Yeah, it's awful. And I don't think that you can use the stand your ground law.
Scott,
this.
I didn't realize, Scott, you can just jump your ass out anytime you want to and wave your gun at people because they're protesting. Didn't realize that was part of the stand your ground law.
It really isn't. And so, you know me, I love to analyze these videos, right? So who's driving the narrative, if you will? And the individuals in the Range Rover, whether they were white Americans or white Cubans, who's driving that narrative? The woman got out of the car and went to argue to try to get them to move. No one touched her. You will see the second individual next to the guy on the bike who stepped in front of her, and the guy in the red was trying to move away from her, and then she accuses him of running over her foot. Well, he wasn't riding his bike. If anything, the tire touched her. That's the first thing. Second of all, after the argument ensued, no one ever touched her. There were words exchanged, but at no time was she under any threat. Look at what happens there. They're arguing, but these young kids who were labeled thugs and N-words never touched her, right? They were in a peaceful protest. She's driving that narrative. And then the husband or boyfriend comes out with his gun with several people around, which is reckless endangerment, and he says, who did it? Who ran over your foot? Now, secondly, no one else is armed right now. No one has a stick or a knife, nor are they showing it, right? And so he's walking around cursing and using racial epithets, and he's got a 9mm in his hand as if he's under threat. Well, he's not under threat. His white privilege is telling him he's got to do something to protect his girlfriend, but he's never attacked either, right? So I'm standing my ground, and I saw where the lawyer argued that there were these young toughs around and they were banging on cars and they were scaring people. That's not what this video was about at all. This was a very personal video because they wanted to drive down the street and the protesters were blocking the street. And so, there's a liberal view, a wideband view of stand your ground, but this isn't it. In fact, the protesters were standing their ground and they were unarmed, nor did they ever touch any one of those, that man or that woman. That's going to be a hard defense. And the government's argument, or not the government, but the defense lawyer's argument was trying to convince the judge to allow that defense. And it's certainly, it's going to be up to the court as to whether he allows it. But I think it doesn't qualify for stand your ground at all, especially in this public place.
Folks, back to our RolandMartinUnfiltered video in just one moment.
Football bans and one of the best fan experiences in the country. The Cricket BX SWAC Challenge kickoff returns to Atlanta on August 28th, along with special guests, College Game Day. Then Alcorn State takes on North Carolina Central with conference bragging rights on the line. Center Park Stadium is the place to be on August 28th. Come tailgate all day before enjoying a primetime matchup on the gridiron. You don't want to miss this. Check out MEACSWACChallenge.com for more information.
And, of course, folks, join Roland Martin Unfiltered in Atlanta Friday and Saturday for the SWAC MEAC Challenge. Friday, we'll be broadcasting live from the Atlanta Braves baseball game. We'll be hearing from the commissioners of the SWAC and MEAC, plus school presidents and other great guests. On Saturday, we'll be from the Coca-Cola fan zone at the stadium where the game is taking place. We'll be broadcasting live. Some great things going on. Tigger's going to be spinning. They got some chefs out there with the Coca-Cola kitchen. We're going to have some phenomenal stuff for you. Plus, we'll be live streaming the halftime show and the concert after the game. Check out Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday and Saturday. And we thanks all of this in partnership with Coca-Cola, the SWAC MEAC Challenge. We'll see y'all there.